Hi guys, it's your boy the Effulgent and welcome to my channel. So if you are new on this channel, please do not forget to like, share and subscribe for more scholarly videos. So today I'll be telling you the different types of scientists, medical laboratory scientists that we have. I know some of you feel that anybody that works in the clinical laboratory is a medical laboratory scientist. Yes, but in the medical laboratory science profession, we have cadres of medical laboratory scientists. Okay, now when you are inducted as a student, immediately you swear the oath. Okay, on the day of your induction, you are being transformed from a student to a medical laboratory scientist. Now, on the day of your induction, you will be given a provisional license which will enable you to become an intern medical laboratory scientist. Now, that program runs for 1 year. Now, after that program, from an intern medical laboratory scientist, you become a corporate medical laboratory scientist. Okay? Now, that program also runs for 1 year. Now, after that, if you gain an employment, let's say in the government institution, when you are employed as medical laboratory scientist 1. Medical laboratory scientist 1. Now, after 3 years of being in the position of medical laboratory scientist 1, you will now be promoted to what we call senior medical laboratory scientist. Okay? Now, from senior medical laboratory scientist, after 3 years, you will now be promoted to a principal medical laboratory scientist. From intern medical laboratory scientist to a corporate medical laboratory scientist to medical laboratory scientist 1 to senior medical laboratory scientist and principal medical laboratory scientist. Now, being on that grade of a principal medical laboratory scientist for 3 years, you would then be promoted to what we call chief medical laboratory scientist. I know many of us have heard medical laboratory scientists or younger medical laboratory scientists calling their senior colleagues chief in the medical laboratory science profession. Now, that name is not just a slang, it's actually a position in the medical laboratory science profession. So from principal medical laboratory scientist to a chief medical laboratory scientist. Now, after 3 years as a chief medical laboratory scientist, you are then promoted to an assistant director of medical laboratory services. An assistant director of medical laboratory services. Okay, that's ADMLS. Okay, now, after being an assistant director for 4 years, you will then be promoted to a deputy director medical laboratory services. Okay, now these are the organs of the lab. Okay, now from deputy director, after 4 years again, you are then promoted to a director of medical laboratory services, DMLS. Okay, now from intern medical laboratory scientist to corporate medical laboratory scientist to medical laboratory scientist 1 to senior medical laboratory scientist to principal medical laboratory scientist to chief medical laboratory scientist to an assistant director of medical laboratory services to a deputy director of medical laboratory services, then a director of medical laboratory services. Now, one very interesting thing about gaining employment in a government institution or a bench work setting as a medical laboratory scientist is that your MSc and PhD is not a prerequisite for promotion. Okay, now you could have MSc, and when you come, if you are employed, you would start from the medical laboratory scientist 1. While someone with just BMS that have been there with experience, that have worked over the years, will be above you. Unlike the academic settings where for you to be a lecturer, except you were retained as a graduate assistant, for you to be a lecturer, you must at least have your MSc, and for you to progress through the ladders of in the academic setting, maybe from lecturer 2 to lecturer 1 to senior lecturer associate prof, you must have your MSc, your PhD, and publications. You must have supervised at least MSc students, a PhD student, for you to get to the top of the academic ladder, which is a full professor. But in the hospital here, it's not, the MSc and PhD is not a prerequisite for promotion. Now, experience and the length at which you have worked is what enables you for promotion. I believe I've been able to educate you guys on the different types of medical laboratory scientists we have. Please do not forget to like, share, and subscribe to this channel for more scholarly videos. Thank you very much.